Welcome back to Primetime News, and a special welcome if you're watching online at onespotmedia.com. Damning allegations about the operations of the Education Ministry in relation to its supervision of the Caribbean Maritime University CMU. In a letter to the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, the ministry's former permanent secretary responded to allegations outlined in a special audit report on the governance and operations of the CMU, including the infamous parties and security details. The former permanent secretary in the Education Ministry, Dean Roy Bernard, pulled no punches in his letter to the PAC chairman criticizing the dealings between the ministry and the CMU. Bernard was the permanent secretary for part of the period in question, but claims he was unaware of most of the questionable transactions. On Tuesday, PAC members questioned him about those dealings. Firstly, the infamous surprise birthday party for the CMU president. Despite being permanent secretary, he says the party was held in August without his knowledge, and a memorandum about it dated November 2019 circulated 3 months later.
And you were still permanent secretary at that time?
I was permanent secretary.
So why did you not sanction or discipline the chief education
No, this
officer?
is coming to my attention after I've left office. I'm not aware that this happened.
Oh, you only became aware of this from the Auditor General,
yes,
even though you were the
yes,
permanent secretary
because
at the time.
even if this was supposed to be done, the very circular requires the head of entity to give the permission for that to be done. That didn't come to me.
Mr. Bernard says had he been aware of the plans or execution while he was in office, he would have taken action, including calling the police. He says that was the case in November 2018 when he heard of plans for a party celebrating his one-year anniversary in the post of permanent secretary.
The head of planning was the acting permanent secretary who I left in charge. So I summoned her, and I was very, I was kind of a little rough on her because I couldn't understand how this could have happened. Anyway, I asked her if it is a fact that public funds were being used for this function. She said that an approach was made to her, right? And there was actually a conditional approval given.
He said he canceled the credit card transaction for an associated gift and only approved the function as he was assured that public funds were not being used. As for the approval for the CMU president's party, his letter says he does not accept the circular as justification for the expenditure approved by the chief education officer, and he is of the view that the sum should be recovered and disciplinary action taken for making a false declaration on the payment voucher to the accounts department to put through the payment. Mr. Bernard also spoke of the appointment of a security team to the former minister, the improper reimbursement of over $2,000 to the CMU president for participation in the Caribbean Conference, and payments to a logistics company with no supporting documents. However, acting permanent secretary Dr. Grace McLean refuted some of Mr. Bernard's assertions. She says he signed off on a number of the contracts, including the payments to the logistics company and CMU agreements.
But I have in my possession a chronology of the documents that led up to the implementation of this project. I have memorandum which was done by me to our permanent secretary dated January 10, which asked for support to the Caribbean Maritime University for security and logistics services, which was approved by our PS at the time on the 11th of January 2018, and his note to me was kindly develop MOU to properly reflect these arrangements. I have this, and this can be provided.
She says while she accepts responsibility for some of the concerns raised by Mr. Bernard, she is part of a team at the ministry.
We had regular meetings with the minister, himself and myself, and we collaborate to ensure that the ministry is run in a structured and orderly manner. I take responsibility for any area of the report that may appear that the due diligence was not done, but in my estimation and documentation and understanding of my role at the ministry, I acted based on the instruction and the documentation that was provided to me.